Hello, welcome to SENDhelp, and it's going to be our third episode.
Yeah.
Today we have got with us Rachel, and we are going to be talking about ADHD, or autism and ADHD dual diagnosis, and the effects, daily life, and also the journey of being a female and getting them diagnosis also as well. So we'll hand over to Rachel, and then we can start beginning. So when did you get your first diagnosis? What one got come first? Was it either of them?
I first went under mental health services at age 11. What I believe now, kind of like in hindsight, what it was like an autistic kind of burnout, I think you would call it. So basically I was presenting as not talking, not able to communicate, just complete shut down. Like I wouldn't speak to anybody. I couldn't function at school. I was having like really kind of like thoughts, but constant, like anxiety.
Yeah.
So my parents took me to a psychiatrist and they were like, look, she's not right. And I remember my mum saying, since she started her period, which obviously I was 11, she was like, she hasn't been right. She was like, and I think she's got autism. So instead of like investigating that further, they diagnosed me with OCD, depression, anxiety, and they put me on a medication called Seroxat. Now, Seroxat, it's only licensed for over 18, and one of the side effects, it causes like people to have suicidal thoughts. So I was 11 years old, complete shutdown, suicidal, and started self-harming after I was on the medication. Again, I couldn't verbalise what was happening to me. I just knew that I was having all these thoughts like I should jump off a bridge, I should throw myself out of a car. It was horrible. So then obviously, because I was under review, they're like, oh, hang on a minute, this has made her worse. They put me on another antidepressant, and then I was kind of discharged from that. Then again, throughout my teenage years, I kept going like in and out of services. Like the school would be like, oh, something's not right. They'd see me again, kind of just like put me on more medication and send me away. And then when I was at 22, I had a mental health crisis. I got the crisis team involved and they diagnosed me as bipolar. They started me on mood stabilizers. That like kind of worked a little bit, but like they put me on quetiapine, so I was on 800 milligrams, so I was like dribbling as I'm talking, like
100.
It just like because I was so fast, I wasn't sleeping. Obviously when you don't sleep, a normal person after 3 days starts hallucinating, and so we had all that going on. That didn't work. I kept relapsing through my 20s. So then they put me on lithium when I think I was like 24. Obviously that's got lots of side effects, just not very nice. I was admitted to hospital in not 2024, 2014, I think. I'm getting all the years wrong, sorry. So I had an admission, basically. That's when they started the lithium. So I've obviously, the thing is, I said when I was admitted that I feel like I have autism, and what was happening was I'd been self-medicating, so like drinking, trying to dull down like the emotions, and like I couldn't sleep, so I'd drink to go to sleep. Like it was all like self-medicating. And I was like kind of in a vulnerable situation, like as a woman as well, like drinking and being like having mental health problems, like people were taking advantage of that, like men in particular. So when I was admitted, I just said, like I'm kind of like feel a bit vulnerable, like I'm lending people money, I'm having people in my house, I feel like I've got no control over my life whatsoever. And they were like, well, having autism doesn't mean like you're gonna have people in your house. Just like real, like kind of gaslighting behaviours from the professionals. So what happened then after that was I ended up in a domestic violent relationship. I ended all of that because I'd not had a great time as a kid either. Like my parents didn't understand autism and ADHD, so they were like physically punishing me for like meltdowns, thinking that it was like spoilt brat behaviour, they would call it.
Yeah.
So that obviously affected my mental health as well, on top of being neurodivergent and still obviously being undiagnosed. Then in 2016, I just decided that I'd had enough. I cut everybody out of my life and decided I was going to start again. So like I left the abusive relationship. I said to my parents, that's it, like you're abusive as well. you're gone. Like, I just cut everyone out and I moved away to the other side of the country. So that's where I am now. When I got here, I had a CPN for my other mental health problems. I was also diagnosed with complex post-traumatic stress disorder in 2012. So I had that diagnosis as well. So I had at that point the OCD, the bipolar, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and my CPN was like, look, you've got autism. Like, a lot of what's going on here, it doesn't, your diagnosis doesn't explain it. So she referred me for an autism assessment. I did have an autism assessment when I was back in Leicester. This was 2018. I finally got on the waiting list there, and they said it was ADHD. That's when I got the ADHD diagnosis. But I kept saying, like, I do feel like it's autism. And they did an assessment, and at the end of that assessment, they said, we do think you have autism. However, it will distract from professionals taking you seriously when you need help with your bipolar disorder. So I was like, well, so you're telling me I have it, but you're not going to give me any support and you're not going to give me a diagnosis. They're like, yeah. So then that was the end of that. And I just felt at that point just complete despair, to be honest, like really struggling to navigate myself through all of this. And then, like I said, I've moved away in 2021. My CPN referred me again for the autism assessment, and I only got diagnosed with autism about 3 months ago. 18 months ago, though, I did start EMDR, which is rapid eye movement. It's a form of CBT. I started that, I completed that, and my life's just been better since then. And obviously, having my autism diagnosis, having the EMDR for the complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and being away from, you know, people that take advantage, I came off all of my medication for my bipolar disorder 3 years ago, and I've not had to go on it since. So I just think that speaks volumes about what's actually going on here. And like, I feel very kind of let down, really, that it like got this far and got this bad.
Yeah,
So
it's awful.
So that is really, you've gone through it. Like, going back to where it's the OCD, where did that come into it? What was the argument they had for that?
because I was only 11 and obviously not communicating, I wasn't really aware of what was going on. Like, no one explained what OCD was. I remember them saying to the school and to my parents that she has slow cognitive thought. So I remember that being explained to me. Whereas when I look at that now as an adult and knowing what I know now, I feel like that was my autism. Like, sometimes like and I do remember my mum saying that I take everything really literally, like, you know, all of these things that are autism. But I do feel like now is the OCD diagnosis again a misdiagnosis, because it was more like rituals, and I still do stuff like that, but I think autism explains that. And I feel like maybe that's more what they were seeing, and then they thought, oh, it's OCD. But like, the concerning part of that is like the Seroxat, because I don't know if you've seen it. It was years and years ago. They did like a panorama special on it where they'd put adults on it and they were suicidal. Like, it was such a horrible time. And it's just like, I just hate for anybody else to go through something like that. Like, I just feel like it shouldn't have happened.
It's scary. It's scary to think as well. From people I speak to, it's still happening now. A lot of it, and it seems to be targeting a lot of the females. That's why I was going with the OCD one, because it's almost like they knew but didn't diagnose it. So all the things you've been diagnosed with could, again, if you're putting a high levels of anxiety, could be presented as bipolar, can be presented as this and that. Like, it's a shame to have to go through all of that. When did you? So after you got your ADHD diagnosis, did that help, or was you still thinking, no, I still need something? Actually, before that, which ones now do you take with you? Because obviously they don't really take them away, do they? They just add on top.
They don't take anything away. So it's all still there. So it's just like, as the years have gone on, it's like, oh, she's got this, she's got that, she's got this, she's got that. So now I've got a whole like list. You know, on paper it doesn't read well. Like, I know I don't read well, but when people meet me, like when professionals have met me, they're like, oh my God, like, I wasn't expecting that, you know, like, it just doesn't read well. So yeah, like, I'll still have all of those diagnoses. I also got diagnosed with PMDD last year, which again explains a lot of it. Hence, like, this all started when I was 11. I started puberty quite early at 11. And I don't know, I just think, I feel like there is misdiagnosis that's happened, and I feel like I've been treated unfairly because of the diagnosis, you know, like the stigma and everything else that's come with that. Like, and it just feels like it was unnecessary.
It's horrible because they're split into different fields. So I had this as well, and only you have to be in certain places for the help. So if you went to the doctors, they can only help with anxiety, depression. If you go to mental health, they can only help with
Yeah,
personality disorders. ADHD have their own private practice, and autism is they haven't got one. So that just
it's
comes part of everyone's,
ridiculous.
isn't it?
Because I'm under mental health services, even though I'm not on medication now. Like I said, I've been off it for 3 years and I've been stable. I've been stable completely with my mental health for 10 years. Like, I've had no relapses. So again, like, I don't feel like the diagnosis fits, but I can't remember where I was going. I've lost my train of thought. It's gone.
Just being misdiagnosed, it's not.
Let alone 800 milligrams. So I take
Yeah.
quetiapine, and I take 150 milligrams in the evening. Within an hour, it knocks me clean out. I'm asleep.
Yeah.
There's nothing I could do. 800 milligrams of that stuff. I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
How
Oh
old?
Yeah.
my God.
I've
How
just
old were you
turned
then?
38 yesterday.
Yeah. How old were you when you were on 800 milligrams?
Oh, 22.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah,
That's what's dangerous as well. You know, you get the misdiagnoses are horrible because you don't get the support for your thing. But when you're getting put on medication like lithium and 800 milligrams of quetiapine, you wonder how much of
yeah,
your life has been wasted being sedated, or
I
what
know.
that's done to your body.
Because I remember when I was admitted, it was my last admission, and I thought in my head at the time, this is my last, like, I'm not doing this again. So obviously, because I've got the complex post-traumatic stress disorder, like, when you're at a crisis with that, with trauma, I feel like that can present as
Yeah.
like a manic episode as well, because I was traumatized, like, through everything that I've gone through with my life. And so I've been admitted, and I was on 1200 milligrams of lithium, which is the maximum. Then they added in the valproate. I can't remember the dose, but they put me on maximum of both of them. And it made me so physically ill that I was in my room, lying on my bed, like, just, I couldn't talk, I couldn't drink. I was just lying there, just, it was horrible. And I remember, like, a staff member going around, showing someone around the hospital, and they're like, oh, this is Rachel. Yeah, they've completely zombified her. She was off the wall when she come in, now she can't move. And just moved on, like I wasn't a person.
nothing.
But I remember that, and like, that really went in, and I lied there, and I thought, you know what, when I come out of this, which I will, because I just felt like giving up at that point, like, I'm going to change my life. And that's what I've done. Like, I've just, like, I'm never going back to that.
Yeah.
You've done well. You've done really, really well.
Thank
Like
you.
I said, some people wouldn't have even got through the teenage years of that, let alone still fighting. As I said, the whole time you thought, no, it's still autism. Do you know how hard that is to, when everyone else is telling you no, it's not, and you're still saying yes, it is, and to finally get it like a few months ago, that must have been amazing.
Yeah, it just, I just kept crying for 3 days, and I think some of it was relief, but some of it was just like, I don't have a victim mentality. The way that I see it, I do see myself as a strong person, but when I got the diagnosis, like, the realization of what I'd been through, it really hit me quite hard, because it was the injustice of it, you know, like just thinking, like, I could understand it if I'd never been under mental health services. So if I was just, like, out in the community, my life had been going quite well, I've been trying to get the diagnosis, but I've been, like, in hospital, like, I've been known to services since I was 11. Like, I've had my parents saying it, I've been saying it, other mental health professionals that are seeing me more frequently saying it, and I've just been completely ignored. And I just find that, like, that's the bit where I just think, you know, I can't be the only person this is happening to. This must be happening to other people as well. And it's sad, you know, like, that this is still going on.
And this is why it's good that you're sharing this, because parents that have, you know, their children that are going through things like this now, and it just sort of raises awareness, and
it proves the point that if you think you're the biggest professional, no matter what the professionals say. So if you think something, you should fight to the rights and not be swayed by, I know it's not this, because again, I don't think people realise, again, like I explained earlier, that every place you go to they can only help a certain bit, which is why sometimes they'll push you to a certain service, so it's a different waiting list, and sometimes they'll only, like, take your medication, they can only prescribe certain types of medication as well, which is ridiculous.
that's the bit I was going to say earlier, but I lost it. Sorry, I have to say it while I remember it or go again. So because I'm still under mental health services, even though I'm not taking the medication, ADHD won't see me. And like, it's just ridiculous. So my psychiatrist that I haven't seen like for 2 years, like they don't even see me anymore. Like they can't be bothered with me. I don't need to see them. Like they can't get me any ADHD medication because ADHD won't review me because I'm under mental health services. So they have to discharge me before ADHD will see me. So I don't have any medication for my ADHD. And that's what I'm struggling with. And it just feels like, what is this? Like, this doesn't make sense. Like,
I mean, I'm going through that with my tablets. I want to change my tablets because I think I need less, because I think it's overmanaged it this time and I'm in my head too much. But again, I went to doctors. Can you change that? You need to go back to ADHD clinic because I'm not even part of them anymore. But you need to go. But I'm not part of the service. They discharged me, so I've got to start the whole process again, which means I'm going to have to go through a year triation with it going up in changing medication, and then it gets prescribed. Then I have to do these monthly things till I get every month for them, for like the blood pressure and stuff, and then it goes back to doctors. But even to get on that, I don't. It's Psychiatry UK, which is the worst one. It was one of the first ones, and they are packed. So there's nothing I can do. I've stopped taking tablets or carry on. It's stupid.
Enough to reduce it.
Yeah, enough to reduce it. And bearing in mind, they've had a shortage because of the Ukraine war. So every time I've gone to get my tablets, they've not been in stock, and only the lower doses have been in stock. I tried to change it that way. They said no. They won't touch you. They won't, because it's all down to them. They're ADHD. But it's interesting though, because we were talking to some people the other day, and I didn't know this. Did you know that therapists, like counsellors and stuff you go to, did you know that they've got no training, anything to do with any diagnoses? So they don't get trained in autism, ADHD, bipolar.
Neurodivergent. No, we don't get training in that.
You have to do it. I did know that. Like you don't have to have that to be a counsellor. I do. Yeah.
But you would think that would be part of the training. Neurodivergent, you would think that would come in somewhere when you're training to be a counsellor, because
you would think that, but it's like I was working this year. I'm not going to go too deep with it, but it was basically supported living for people with really serious mental health issues. But the people that are supporting them, they don't have to have any training either. So they've got no understanding of like the diagnosis, how that person impacts them. And I ended up leaving because the way that they were speaking about these people was just disgusting. You know, just like swearing about them, like, oh, they're just this, they're just that. And I'm thinking, this person's like really severely mentally unwell. So yeah, it's across the board. Like the whole thing just isn't right. You know, like even down to like the schooling and stuff. Like these kids are coming out of school like traumatized from what's happening at school because of lack of support, and the whole thing needs a shake up. Like it's not working. Like everything's at crisis. Like no one can get support, but if people had the support in the first place, they probably wouldn't get to crisis point. And then the addiction, like that would all come down because people are doing that to cope. You know, like the whole thing is just not right. But I don't even know how you begin to change that.
To change it, yeah. Do you mind? You know, you said about EMDR.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to bring that up. Yeah,
because that's something that I've looked into because I've heard some really like success stories with that. Do you mind telling us about?
I've never heard of it at all, so this will be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's changed my life.
Yeah.
I just feel like a completely different person now. It's like I said, it's a form of CBT, and what I had to do again, I wasn't diagnosed with autism when I went to that, but I was diagnosed with ADHD. So you do something called bilateral stimulation. So basically what it's doing is engaging both parts of your brain at the same time. So you can do it like by hearing something or holding in your hands or tapping. So you're basically moving like from left to right. And when we started doing it, like it wasn't working. And she said because of the neurodivergence, like I had to have headphones on with the ticking, and I had to hold like buzzers in my hand. No, I didn't hold the buzzers. We tried that didn't work. I followed a light. So there was like a light bar that's moving from left to right. So I've got the hearing of that and the visual as well. And you have to, before you start that therapy, you have to go through like a list of what's brought you there. and like ways that you cope with things. And like, so I had 9 different traumas. That's why it took 18 months. It was a long time. And what you do is you have to go into the memory, like the worst part. So the therapist will say, pick out the worst part of that memory for you. And then like I used to do it once a week. So you'd have to go into the memory while you're like watching the light bar, hearing the thing, and you have to like change it. So you bring in different things. So you can pick anything. Like I had like different things that felt safe to me. So like you go into the memory and you add things in that kind of like stop it from happening almost. Like imagination can go wild. Like it sounds really woo woo, and I think if you're the kind of person that won't think outside the box and you're not willing to give things a go, don't think it'll work, because it doesn't work for everyone. But it really has worked for me. Like it's changed my belief system, my self-worth, like the way that I view life. And but the thing is, while I was having the EMDR, everything got worse. So like things were triggering me, you know, like, so obviously I've got the PTSD anyway, but in day-to-day life, if something around me was happening that triggered that memory, it would trigger it more than if I wasn't having it at the time. Do you know what I mean? Like a noise or something someone would say, like I would have a massive emotional reaction, and that went on for 18 months, and that was hard to deal with.
I've had something similar to that. Magic mushrooms. It was quite a good experience. No, that does sound really good. I think it's important. I'm glad you said about if you don't believe in it, don't bother, sort of thing, because I think people are unaware. They think there's a magic fix. If you don't believe in what you're doing, how are you going to make it work? Like, do you know what I mean? It's not a magic fix. You need to believe that what you're doing is going to help.
Cognitive behaviour therapy. It's hard work. You can't just come out of the session and then just be. You actually have to work on it every day, don't you? And
and it's all about like timing as well, because I started doing it in 2015, but I was going through trauma still, and they were saying to me, you know, this isn't going to work for you because it's still ongoing. And I was arguing and saying no, like, and I kept going and going and going, and then like in the end it wasn't going to work, so they discharged me. And then obviously like years later I've gone back, but it was worth it.
Was that privately you did that?
No, I got it on the NHS because I'm under because I'm under mental health services. I do feel really lucky that I got it. Like I know that I'm lucky like to have that, and my therapist was amazing, and she was so empathetic and gave me time. Like she didn't rush me. Like I don't know, like in other circumstances if there's a set amount of sessions, but I said to her, how long have we got? And she was like, you know, until it's done, which took 18 months, and I went every week. So
that's really good.
And that's really good to hear on the NHS, because like you say, a lot of services, especially with the NHS, you get like a limited amount of time, don't you? You get 6 sessions, or like for counselling, for example.
3 session and you pay for the rest.
Yeah. So that's positive. That's really good to hear that.
It does work as well. I think I had, because I went through my whole life again, a bit like you, in mental health services and stuff like that. And I've had every sort of form of thing, but because I didn't believe, I thought it was a load of shit. But do you know why I thought it was a load of shit? Because you're going through all that problems. They're like, just take deep breaths. You're like, you fucking kidding me? Deep breaths are going to solve this problem. You've got no chance. So every time they're saying to you, like, it's the CBT methods, which are simple fucking things, I'm like, it's not going to work. But it does. It really does. It really does. You just can't believe it at the time, especially when you're going through that much stuff, that something so simple, like your parent would say to you, would work.
That's what it is. I think when someone else is telling you to do something, you just think, oh, go away, like you haven't got a clue, you don't understand. But when you get to the stage where you start trying things yourself, and that's the stage that I had to get to, where I'd like the medication, I'd had enough of the medication, I'd had enough of everything. I had to like kind of get to rock bottom almost to find things myself and that help. But when they were telling me to do it, you know, like go and meditate, go to the gym, eat healthy, it's just like, go away. But now I do it every single day.
I've done that. I was my growing up. My mum was so anti-sugar. Always used to say that to you. You're not depressed. Eat better, and half it will go away. I was like, no, it's not. I don't even drink water out of a tap anymore. I'm turning into my mother without realising it, and it's killing me. It's like, it's bad. So I'm like, no, she's right. Just eat healthy, no sugar. Like, that's it. Go to the gym. I'm gonna feel better.
It's hard to do. It's hard to do. I joined the gym. I went once, and so I've just cancelled my membership. But I know that when I know, And yoga, oh my God, in lockdown, when I started getting up every morning and doing it, and then I continued, I felt so much better. And I did meditate because I find that really hard, because it's really hard to switch off. And I know it works. And yet I've stopped doing it again because I find it really hard to carry on with something, as you know, like having a routine or I find that really hard.
I have a theory of why that happens with people with ADHD. I feel like we've got so much negative growing up and we're always used to negative reaction and stuff. When we do something like the gym, it's actually rewarding. It makes us uncomfortable and we stop it.
Yeah, it's 21 days, they say. It takes at least 21 days to build that habit. And then once it's in, it's kind of in. But then it goes the other way with me now. So I've got such a regimented routine, but I'm still impulsive. And now if I don't do everything in my routine, then I'm in a bad mood and I feel like my life's over and I've hit rock bottom again. But that's not the case.
Yeah.
I now put too much pressure on the routine, and if anything deviates, I fall to pieces. It's actually ridiculous. So I've gone the other way now. It's just
there's no middle ground, is there? That's the thing.
No.
There's no middle ground. It's either, for me, it's all or nothing.
I think as well, that's a good point on to mention the ADHD, and that's because that happens with me a lot with things. The ADHD thought about it, then it goes too far and becomes a routine, and then you don't do it because if again you wake up, something goes wrong, then the whole day's out the window.
Yeah,
I never middle ground is this. I've never got there. I can't see.
Like, a lot of it is just being kind to yourself, though, isn't it? Like, it's the way that we speak about ourselves, and I've learned to do that as well. You know, like if I do something wrong, I'll be like, "Oh, you idiot! Oh, you idiot!" Like under my breath about myself. But now, like, I'm kind of checking myself a bit, and I think you're not an idiot. You're actually not an idiot. Like, you've just made a mistake. So it's like you said, with the negativity that's been drilled into us from young, especially with having ADHD, it's always us. You know, like I was always the kid, like it's always my fault. Like everything was fine and then you're here. Now it's all gone wrong. You know, like that goes in, that's deep. Like that goes in your subconscious. So if you can change the mindset and the way you see yourself and view yourself, then I think everything else starts to get better.
It's really hard though when you've practiced that way of thinking for such a long time, because that's what I struggle with. And I really want to be this positive person, everything you're saying. And I'm really glad you've said it all, because it's reminding me to be kinder, because anything goes wrong, I am the negative thought loops in your head, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's ingrained because I've been doing it for so long. And it's really hard, and that's what CBT is, isn't it? It's like changing those, changing the neural pathways in your brain. But it's really hard because when you've practiced it and you've got so good at it and you believe it, it's
not
only things you can do, like sometimes, like if I find myself, you know, like getting a bit low, like because I do get a bit low sometimes, like with everything that's going on, I'll write down like a list of like kind of positive affirmations. Again, it sounds a bit woo-woo, but it works for me. So like I'll write down a list, you know, just like 3 or 4 things that I like about myself, because like again we focus on the negatives, and I'll literally put it on the wall and I'll just say it out loud every morning. Like that's something I bring in when things got really bad, and it does work. Because you're literally saying it out loud and your brain is like taking it in, so you know you can.
And the thing is, I know this because I tell other people to do this, but I'm not very good at putting it into practice for myself. It's crazy. It's not.
I like to wake up every day thinking I'm God's gift. Yeah. if you aim really, really high in the morning, when you get knocked down, you only go to the middle ground, so you just go to normal. So okay. I'm just okay now, but I still go about it. Do you know what I mean? It's not bad as a crash. If you wake up feeling I'm okay and anything happens and you feel like shit, but if you reach the top when you start, you got layers.
That's a real, I like that.
It took no, it's a general serious tactic. I do it. It took a lot of practice to do it, but it does. Yeah, if you hype yourself up too high, then you know reality hit at some point.
What was it you said today about when you've got lots of things to do that you've got to do, and you changed the words? I can't think what you said. I can't. But it's about changing the way you think. And just the words,
instead of I've got to do it, I get to do it. So like instead of like I've got like 2 podcasts and
and got to makes you feel overwhelmed.
But if I get to, it's like, well, you could be doing other things. You could be stuck doing this already. The whole, you know, it's an honour to be able to do stuff like this.
Yeah, I've heard that about, you know, when people have got a cold and they're like, oh, I'm sick, I'm ill. You're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to say, I'm recovering. Like, I'm recovering, but you don't want to, do you? It's just like, oh, I feel really ill. Like, yeah, mad.
So now you've got the dual diagnosis of ADHD and the autism. How does that, with no medication as well?
Yeah.
How's that?
It's challenging. It is challenging. I feel like you said, you know, like if I can build myself up, some days I can like use it all to my advantage. And it's like I can get things done, and I've got, because it's like conflicting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you've got like the impulsivity, and then you've got like you want to be regimented, and it is conflicting. And like on days where like everything's a challenge anyway, it kind of gets to me and I think, oh, it's all too much, I hate being like this, it's horrible. But on my better days I use it all to my advantage. So, you know, like in a positive, to say it in a positive way, like I'm productive, like I can hyper focus, like, and go like in deep with something with the autism side of things, but then the ADHD will make me move quickly. So like, do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you can use it to your advantage, but it is really hard.
I like to
It's
see it as like the American Civil War in my head, and I'm the little black guy waiting to see which side we're going to land on, who's going to win, and if I got rights or not. I never get to that point. So they've just been fighting, and I'm just in limbo of what's going to happen. I just don't know. I have no control over what's going to happen in my game.
Image.
One of them two is going to win, and I'm just I'm up to whoever wins.
Yeah, that's
It's like ODD in your own head against yourself. It's crazy. It's imagine thinking something, and then automatically your own brain goes, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Like it's a weird thing to do, and it is the ADHD and the autism, because they're so different.
Yeah.
Like they can't exist together very well. Again, some days you can, and they can work amazingly well together. But it's almost like the eclipse, isn't it? It happens like once every so often, and most of the time it's not like that. Like,
it's hard to manage socially as well, I think, because it's like I really want to socialize. Like I'm a talkative person, I love like socializing, but then I hate people. And then when I do socialize, it takes me 3 days to get over the social interaction. So it's like, and then I also like I interrupt people a lot. I know I do that. I really try not to, but it's again like I have a thought in my head. If it doesn't come out, it's gone. So I'm so excited to say it, you know. So socially it's awkward, and then I get a lot of anxiety because I'm really bad at picking up like the social cues, and like, you know, if people like exchange a look, I don't know what it means. So straight away, I'm just thinking, what does that mean? Do they want me to go? I'm talked too much. Have I not spoken enough? Have I looked at them too long? Or have I not looked at them long enough? And it's all like, it's using like my battery. So like for the next 3 days, I'm having to recharge.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Being like that.
Do you struggle getting out? Like, so if you know, you said, I what I like to do is make loads of plans in the moment.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to give you this. The day comes, I'm not doing that. I'm not going out. I can't do it. Like, and then, but once, if I do get there, it's fine. It's just anxiety. I didn't realize I had anxiety about like transitioning. Like I see it in my kids a bit, but just getting one. I'm late to everything because of this. Everything.
Yeah.
Like the time I leave has to be last minute. Then I forgot my keys, and then I'm half an hour down anyway. Then I'm anxious. I'm going to be late. No point going. And I get there, and the time I get there,
either. Like you can plan it all you want. Like you can sit there and like write it all regimented, but you're still going to be late regardless. So now I just surrender to it now. So like on the way there, I try not to get angry. I try not to jump the lights. Like I try and just surrender to it. Like I am going to be late. I'm going to be late, and it's just me, and it is what it is. Like
I beat myself up over it. Yeah, I still beat myself up over lateness. Because I just don't get how I can't ever be on time.
No, I can't. And it's a living nightmare, especially with kids, and they've got to be places at certain times.
Yeah. We're like 2 hours late for everything we need to do. Like not the podcast, we try to limit it at 10-15 minutes. But like if we have to do like the initial calls, or we're planning the next episode, or plan anything, like even going for like to go have like a lunch meeting, it'd be 2 hours late, both of us. But wait, you left yet? No, I'm not even ready. Like every time.
I'll just ruminate on it as well. So say like there's an appointment in the middle of the afternoon, it's like I can't possibly now do anything else. Like I have to just like wait, like in this like anxious state now until that appointment. So it feels like massive in my head. Like it's just like, I don't know how I'm going to function today because I've got this appointment, and it's like a 10-minute appointment, and it's ridiculous. But I think what it is that if I don't sit and ruminate on it, I'm going to forget. I'm going to forget that I've got the appointment. And like I've tried setting alarms, and then the alarm will go off, and I think, why is my phone going off? Like, go away. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I went out for dinner with my friend on Friday, and she booked the table for 5 o'clock. And I knew this at 10 o'clock in the morning. And I think at 4:10, I suddenly thought, I need to get ready, because I just sat on I lay watching, I did nothing all day. And
Yeah.
then I think, oh, I could just have a shower and wash my hair. And when we've both got long hair, I'm not going to get my hair done in like hot. And so I had to get in touch with her and get her to push the time forward because I was so late. And then she turned up at my door, which really freaked me out because I thought I was meeting her at the restaurant. And it was like I just didn't know what was going on, even though we'd made the plan in the morning and I knew exactly what was happening. I just couldn't. Yeah.
That's what I'll do. I'll literally leave everything to the last minute as
Last
well.
minute.
Like I'll sit and procrastinate about it and worry about it all day. And then half an hour before I've got to be out the door, I'll just think, oh my God, like,
and then rush around like a lunatic.
Yeah. It's like, it's all black and white, isn't it? But even my thinking's like that. It's like, it's all or nothing. It's black and it's white. There's no middle ground. Like, and I'm really trying to work on that.
Yeah, no,
it's hard
I don't know where that middle ground is. If you find it, let me know because I haven't got a clue.
Yeah.
No, it is difficult, isn't it? Like, especially, I think the way with my autism coming out lately, it's turned me to like, is it Courage the Cowardly Dog? The one of the Cartoon Network. You ever seen that little purple dog that's scared of fucking everything? There's walks around whimpers all the time, and there's always some some ghost that only he can see, and he's trying to warn everybody, and no one can see it. That's why I feel with the autism. It's like I'm worrying about things that don't even be worried about at all times. Even I've started doing this really thing. I'm getting worse at it. Is I'll try and play out conversations, and I'm starting to feel like I'm like we're really special when I do this because I feel like
I do that
I'm going to say this, they're going to say this back, then I'm going to say this back, and this is the response I'm going to give, and then I'm going to get that. It's going to be 6 messages I'm going to say at this time. And it's ridiculous. How am I not even having a conversation naturally anymore? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
Everything. I risk assess every single situation. I'm not I haven't got autism. God knows what.
I've been diagnosed with autism,
and I don't realise I'm doing it, and I wondered if it was from trauma. Like when you've had things that have happened in your life, whether you then look for the worst case scenario in any situation, and then I live it all out in my head, so I know exactly what to expect when it all goes wrong. But that's weird.
And do you not think we make it go wrong because of that thinking? So if you're thinking that it's going to go a certain way, because I'm always correct, and that's what baffles me. I'm always right. It goes exactly how I play it, but it must be me doing it.
Yeah, same. I think as well, like another thing that I've noticed, and I do think that's down to like my diagnosis, is I'm really good now at like picking up energy. Like I can't read like expressions very well, and like the tone of voice, that's not great either, but I can feel it, like I can walk in the room and like I can feel the energy, like I can feel if it's off, but I've got no evidence for it. And I do feel like that comes from like one, like trauma, but two, like when you're lacking in certain areas, other areas get heightened. Like if someone can't see, their hearing's more sharp, and I feel like that's what it is. Like after a lifetime of not understanding social situations, I can actually feel it. I do believe
trusting yourself with that. Like you say, it's your gut instinct, or you're picking up on a vibe. I have that as well, but I don't always listen to it.
How can you trust yourself with ADHD? The thing's trying to ruin your life constantly, every day. Every idea you have that's an ADHD idea is not beneficial for your life. It'll be beneficial for the hour or two or whatever it is. They're very good at convincing you they're good ideas, and then you get it, and it's just shit.
As well, there's too many ideas. You have so many ideas,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
but again, I think I do that. I think I do that though because again, self-esteem. I think I get dopamine. It's all exciting, but then I think I can't do. I'm not going to maintain this. I come away and start it with something else. I've done it with all of my social network stuff, everything. I like get halfway to saying, but no, I'll do something else now. But I think it's more the fear of, again, because I've never really finished anything, of how the hell can I do something that's going to be finished? So it makes me panic.
Yeah.
The thing is, when you finish it, you don't get that.
I haven't done it yet, so
you don't get a joy or a good feeling from it anyway because it's too quick.
As well, you can only, I think that's more like the autism. You can only give 100% like to one thing. Like I struggle with daily life because I can't give 100% to different things. Like I can't give 100% to being a mum and 100% to this and 100% to keeping my house clean. Like it's all too much, and that's where the overwhelm comes in, isn't it? Because you're running too many programs at the same time.
Yeah, and as I said, day-to-day life just requires too much.
Yeah.
Just as you said, like keeping on top of the house. If you've got kids, you've got the kids thing to do. Like it's so overwhelming. And then you've got to try and put yourself into some kind of strict routine, or you're not going to do anything yourself productive. It's horrible. I wonder how much, like, again, anxiety. I've always wondered if ADHD and autism cause anxiety it assists ADHD. So if they work alongside each other, or does the ADHD and the way of thinking and the autism cause anxiety?
I think it causes it.
I think, yeah. So in that case, everyone should be treated with ADHD and autism for anxiety as well, which I think they should.
Yeah.
No one even mentioned anxiety to me. I got all of these diagnoses, whatever, until right at the end. Then I was like, oh, if you try, maybe you're anxious. And by this time, again, I'm like, shut up. I've got serious diagnosis. Don't tell me I'm anxious. Baby steps. Are you joking? But it was true. And when I started looking at it, everything I was doing, I was nervous. I just thought I was really angry. I wasn't angry. I was in fight mode all the time. Like, always, like, just thinking things going to go horribly wrong.
Because anger's a big thing.
I can't get,
Yeah, because I'm training to be a counsellor, so I have ongoing therapy at the moment as part of the training.
Which told the last one to fuck off.
I didn't tell him. And he picks up on anger all the time. And I don't know whether, I don't know, I felt ashamed actually when he said that. 'Cause I thought, what? I actually felt angry when he said, you keep saying that you're angry. And I was like, no, I don't. And then as I've thought about it, yeah, I do. I go into its fight or flight mode all the time.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell it apart from the injustice you face. So actually, you just think it's because everyone's been my whole life. No, I'm the underdog, so I've got to do this.
That's it again. Like what's causing what? But like, I thought I wanted to be a counsellor. I did level 1 in it, just the level 1. And I just thought it's just not for me, because you're not allowed to tell people what to do, are you? Like, you have to just listen, and that's just not me. Like, I want to tell you what to do. Like, you're going wrong.
It is hard.
Like, you're ruining your life. You're not allowed to do any of that. I'd find that so hard.
But I think we spoke to a lady called Jodie, who's on one of the episodes, and she is a counsellor with ADHD. And we were talking to her about how is it different? And I think it is different, because even when you're providing therapy or counselling to someone with ADHD, it does have to be different. And that's why we were saying it's weird that we don't get training, because there's a lot of silence, and you use silence, and because a neurotypical person will use that time to reflect and to process, whereas someone with ADHD, when they're silent, they're thinking 6 million other things. They're not actually. I say I'm not reflecting and processing, because I'm on to the next thing and I'm thinking, why is he quiet? Or I'm looking around the room and get distracted. So yeah, I'm hoping that when I qualify, maybe that's something that I can, bring.
Use it to your advantage.
Yeah,
exactly. And that will give you confidence then.
Yeah.
You're going to seek out ADHD clients.
Maybe.
I'm not. I wouldn't do it. I would selectively go, I wouldn't take no diagnosis. But it's Ed, because what you said, being a counsellor, to sit there and not have any advice, especially knowing you've got ADHD yourself, I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't be able to do it. Especially they've got new diagnosis and you're like...
And like you say as well, you pick up on vibes and you pick up on energy. And that's and that's difficult, because you as a counsellor, you're non-judgmental. You don't have judgment.
I was about to say, what if you don't like the person? Isn't that hard? I've always thought in my head, naively, I thought the person's always going to be all right. But what if the person's just a dick, and then what they're ranting out is a dick? Like, you have to sit there.
That's what worried me as well. I just thought, like, you can't tell them to get a grip either. They're just going on about some
your life out.
Trivial stuff. Just like, sort your life out, get a grip. It's just, you can't. It's not acceptable. Like, I'm having counselling at the minute, and I'm really lucky because I've got a really good counsellor. So every week I go to her with, like, I'm normally moaning about my son, to be honest, who's also got ADHD. And I'll go and I'll have a moan, and she'll just be like, do you know what? Like, what you are struggling with, like, more than anything, is being neurodivergent. That's what all of this is. So, like, every time I go and there's a problem, she's like, you're trying to navigate, like, in a world that's not designed for you. That's where your issues are coming from.
That's really good.
That's a good way of thinking of it.
Yeah, I'm really lucky, because she just seems to understand it.
Yeah.
So I
was going to offer Sharon to you. Clearly, you've got a better one. I was going to say, well, Sharon does therapy, but you've clearly got a better therapist. Keep with our one.
No, that's good. That is really good, because it's true.
Yeah.
Because when we touched at the beginning on schools aren't set up for the whole system. The whole education system is not set up for neurodivergent.
And you get mad about normal things, isn't it? Oh my God, my house is a mess. Oh my God, I'm late. Oh my God, these are all neurotypical things that are problems for neurotypical people. Let's change the thinking of it. It's not my world. I'm taking myself out of it.
Exactly. It's just not right.
And
okay, controversial one, because I have to think controversial one. Do you think discipline could be used to tackle ADHD? Strict discipline, like army discipline, through fear. No, not through fear, but no, through intimidation. No, like that strict. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, sometimes ADHD, sometimes, like routine, like the strictness of going home to them, and I think that's why you've got a lot of people that would drift over to the regimented side of it. Like I was thinking, it's bad in schools now, but is that because they're so lot strict? Where back in the day,
Maybe.
they would be ADHD. Everyone just kind of you didn't want to get hit, did you? So you're just going to kind of behave. I know that probably
like the fear factor.
Yeah, and I think like that's the only thing that's really, because it doesn't give you a chance to think. If ADHD, you outthink yourself, isn't it? Problems thinking. If you've got someone telling you do this, go down, now this, you're not in your head, so it gets you. That's the only way that I've seen people with ADHD live a normal life. The ones that come out of the army.
School. Not in school. That doesn't. I wouldn't.
No, but I'm saying back in the day in school, I can imagine it'd be similar because you'd somebody get hit with a ruler.
No, but then the oppositional stuff kicks in. There's nothing worse than someone telling you.
She likes getting hit. Clearly, that's what we heard from that. The rulers are.
You square up to somebody.
What, a teacher?
Yes.
Well, they'll smack you again.
You.
It was.
Yeah, they used to.
Yeah, I know. I think you think so.
And again,
Saying that when I was at school.
and it's because I saw yesterday. I didn't know that it wasn't illegal to hit your kids in England.
Yeah.
And I thought I'd do a
Yeah,
video
it's
about it. And I
illegal
thought let's see how that video goes, because I'll just get cancelled. Because again, it's a fear that I had growing up. Is I the limit that my kids go past is ridiculous. I had my behaviours, and then there was a certain limit you wouldn't go past because you're going to get smacked.
Yeah.
Not hard, but like smacking a bum or whatever. You knew that. Taking that away, they're little shits to a certain degree. In the sense of, if I was ADHD growing up in the school that I knew that I could get with as loose as it is now, and you like phones in school, my God, you need that fear to know your boundaries. You need to know where your boundaries are.
I think it's how
You're
you
always pushing for
enforce
them,
it,
aren't you?
though. It's all about how you enforce it. So, like the structure and the routine, 100% being neurodivergent. That's where you thrive, because like I didn't have one growing up. So if I went over to stay at a friend's house, like, and they were like, you brush your teeth at 7 o'clock, you eat at 5 o'clock, I used to live for it, because it was just like, it felt safe, like the structure and routine. But it's how you enforce it. And I do think people, especially people with ADHD, if you say like, if you don't do that, the consequence is that they're going to push against it and rebel anyway. So, and then also, like, it's the fear factor, isn't it? Like, there's other ways to instill discipline without fear of getting a slap, because then you're going into survival again. Like, you're not going to, like, people that are living in survival, they're not productive. So it's all like, it is counterproductive.
I've seen a lot of successful Africans, though. Just saying, it's just free fall there. You can get the family, you can get invited, like the dad will start calling the grandma, tell them, and they'll just get beat 3 times over. But they've all become doctors. So there's got to be some kind of link. No, I'm not putting that bit out. That's not going in the short. Like, it's not.
Me and Rachel just went completely quiet.
Yeah, basically beat your children. Do it. Beat them. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, don't do that.
You have got to have boundaries, though, because it has got to the stage where they are aware that we have no power. Like,
that's it. That's what I'm trying to say.
And no power.
It's gone like that now. It is like that. I got called into a school the other day to help with something, and it was horrifying. And I just thought, who would want to be a teacher? So I don't know how that's
going. I wouldn't want to be a teacher anymore. No.
I wouldn't want to be a teacher, because there isn't give them a detention. They don't go to detention. There's
what do you do?
Yeah, but that's a big thing, for another day. But yeah, I don't know what's going to go on there. But thanks, Rachel. I think that was amazing.
That was an amazing interview.
Yeah, really
Thank
good.
you for
really good. No, it was brilliant. Thank you.